There are 5 things you need to consider before choosing your next belt knife. And make sure to stick around to the 5th and final point, because this is where many fixed blades fall short. And we're gonna be using the Lionsteel B40 to unpack what those 5 things are and whether or not this knife checks all the right boxes. So thanks for hanging with me on this beautiful winter day. I'm Aaron, this is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in. Now the first thing is the blade. Both its shape and grind will determine how well it performs for you depending on what you want the tool to do. As an example, tantos are great for stabbing and piercing and have good tip strength, while clip points have an excellent iconic feel to them. And there are dozens of other blade shapes to choose from, but arguably a well-designed drop point is one of the most versatile blade shapes you can choose from. And this B40 executes a drop point design perfectly. And I found that it was durable enough and aggressive enough to give me really good precision and piercing, while not sacrificing finesse and precision cutting when I wanted to control the blade or the tip. But leave a comment below and let me know what your favorite style of blade shape is on your belt knives. Now, after you've chosen your blade shape that you feel will best suit your needs and, let's be real, a little bit of your personality, because your knives are oftentimes an expression of yourself. You gotta choose the grind, and depending on the activities will determine what grind is best suited for you, because there's a plethora from Scandies to convex, full flats, can't forget about the old school hollow grind, or in this case, a saber grind. And I'm gonna throw a truth dart at you that may blow some of your guys' minds, but the grind geometry in tandem with the edge geometry is almost more important than the type of steel that you choose on your knife. So it's very important that you have the right grind and the right geometry on that particular grind. And for me personally, if you were to ask me, of all the grinds that are out there, what do I feel like is the most versatile? It's a saber grind, just like on this B40, which is a flat portion into a transitional secondary flat portion, giving you good angles to be able to do like woodsworking, feather sticking. It gives you a little bit more durability than like a full flat grind, but is better at food prep than say a Scandi grind, and also has better overall edge durability than a hollow grind, even though it won't slice as well as that hollow. And with a stock thickness of 0.16 and a 4-inch overall blade length, I found that the B40 really does execute that saber grind in tandem with its shape really well to be able to be a crossover blade, be used out here in the backcountry as a camp knife and general utility, as well as woodworking tool, and execute all of those activities with flying colors, just the way that they have grounded in, not being too thick, not being too thin. And before we hit the second thing you got to consider before choosing your next belt knife, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today, coming on this adventure. And it is truly you guys, the viewers, in tandem with our regular sponsors here at the channel, that help me get out here, test gear and equipment for you, show you pros, cons, help you determine for yourself and think through what tool and item might make sense for your next adventure. So I do invite you guys to hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscription button and to hit that bell icon so that you can be notified every week when I put up new content just like this. And before we dive back in, I want to take this moment to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, which is LA Police Gear. LA Police Gear is a friend of the channel and has been an awesome sponsor for years here, and they have been offering excellent gear and equipment from well-established brands for over 20 years. As just one example, I'm currently wearing and trekked up here today my Salomon X Ultra Forces boots that have been performing excellent, not only in my drier climates during the year, but also in snowy conditions like today. And they carry several other Salomon designs that you're not going to find at your local sporting goods store, as well as just a great distributor in general for footwear, regardless if you're looking at Danner boots, 511 tactical, as well as LA Police Gear's own line of high value, high performing footwear. And that's just scratching the surface of the type of footwear as well as apparel and equipment that LA Police Gear carries. So I'll have a link in the description box below over to the LA Police Gear website, as well as my exclusive 10% off promo code that you can apply towards your purchase. So hop on over and check out all they got to offer. Now, in just a moment, we'll hop back to the high country, but the second thing that you need to consider when choosing out your belt knife is overall handle design and ergonomics. This is crucial. This is where the tool comes into contact with your body, and if it's executed well, it becomes like just an extension of yourself, and it becomes very easy to use the tool. But if there are a lot of weird transitions and sharp angles and deep cut-ins and heavy jimping, it can become a nightmare and really is not an enjoyable experience for extended use, possibly for a quick stab or a slash in a more like combative role. So if you're looking at that in your belt knives, okay. But for the majority, and the rule of thumb is the simpler the design, the better the overall ergonomic experience will be on multiple fronts. And this B40 executes that so well because it has just a simple, almost broom handle kind of profile, just a slight bird beak out the back. Every transition is rounded and machined, so there's no abrupt angles. It's gonna give you a little guard there to keep you in check. No jimping, it's not necessary 99% of the time I've found. You get a little bit of a crown spine that is rounded, flows right into, on my model, these ribbed G10 handle scales that just give you a little bit of texture. And what's cool is, you wanna express yourself when you are using your tool, at least I do. And leave a comment if you prefer and like to express yourself through your tools. The B40 and the B41 that I'll highlight in just a moment series offers a lot of options. This is black G10, they have like orange G10, they have different types of wood handle scales and micarta. So you're able to kind of choose your preference and what kind of material you like depending on your environment and how you're gonna use the tool. And I do wanna highlight this little hidden feature because the rest of the spine being all rounded and crowned would not throw sparks, but they have given you a 90-degree edge right back here that does absolutely launch sparks. Now, there is a separate model for those who are curious called the B41. It is dimensionally the same except on the handles, which that model, they have scalloped the handle scales slightly and kind of thinned it out in a couple portions, and that's really the only difference. I personally wanted the B40 because I prefer a thicker diameter, particularly around the guard and up near the neck. I like it to be nice and thick and full. If you like a more tapered feel, there is the B41 that you could look at as well. But regardless of the manufacturer and design you choose for your next belt knife, I feel that simplicity is king when it comes to its design. Now, the third thing you need to consider is blade steel. There's so many variants out there. There's high carbon, there's stainless steel, depending on your environment, what might make more sense for you, and how you're going to use your tool. Do you want something that's tougher, more durable, but maybe doesn't have quite as much edge retention? Or are you looking for edge retention and durability isn't quite as important? On a knife of this size, I tend to gravitate a little bit more to edge retention and a little bit less to durability because it's a small knife. You're not like chopping down trees and splitting logs that are 6 inches in diameter. So for me, I look for something that's kind of in the middle, but it also is determinant on your skill level in resharpening. We don't talk about that a lot in the knife world. You can get a premium steel, but if you don't really have the skill set to resharpen it, it will eventually dull or get some chips on it or rolls eventually, depending on the type of steel. And then it's gonna be a nightmare to try and get that original factory edge back on it. So if you're new to knives, maybe something that's a little bit softer, a little bit easier to resharpen would make more sense to hone your sharpening skills and then move forward. Now, this knife is made out of Sleipner steel. Sleipner steel is in the D2 family and is a semi-stainless steel. That means it'll fight off rust a little bit better than your basic high carbons, but if you soak it in salt water, it's definitely gonna start showing. This one has gotten a little bit of staining on it from some limes, so it's gonna, show stuff, unlike a true stainless steel would. My understanding is they do about a 60 Rockwell. I've used not only Lionsteel's Sleipner, but also I've used it on many other knives, and I really like it. It's good. It has good wear resistance. It's not mind-blowing. And it's very easy to resharpen it. In about 5 minutes, I was able to get 2 little burrs that showed up after all the testing that you're seeing here, like several weeks of use. I got a couple little burrs under 5 minutes with my WorkSharp field sharpener from WorkSharp, and boom. I mean, it was back to screaming sharpness and has a good mix of edge retention, but also durability. Now, the fourth thing to consider is value. What are we getting for our hard-earned money? Now, you can spend $20 on a Mora Companion, and you can spend $300 on a Bark River and everywhere in between. And depending on your preferences, your budget, whatever it is, you can check a lot of the boxes we're discussing today. But for me personally, in my experience, I found that knives that fall between the $100 and $200 price range are a beautiful sweet spot. You're gonna get a lot of options in steels, you're gonna get a lot of choices in sheaths, and you're gonna get good quality control and fit and finish overall. Now the B40s fall squarely on the lower end of that spectrum. I've found a few models in wood handle scales for about $112 on Amazon. When I'm making this video, on average it's about like $135 to $140 on Amazon. And then if you go over to other distributors like Bladehq and DLT Trading, you're gonna be looking at like $140 to $160, just depending on handle material and distributor you decide to pull the trigger with. So if you feel like this model or some of the competitive options is the right choice, I'll have links in the description box below this video. You can hop on over and check out all the different variants that are available. Now, I do appreciate Lionsteel hooking me up with this model so I could break it down, test it out, use it, and show you guys pros, cons, capabilities. Stick around to number 5, potential limitations of this model and this idea of what to look for in a belt knife. Now, for just some food for thought and competitive options, if you aren't really looking at this as a woods knife, but you want a compact belt knife, a Sleipner steel version that's out there is the EMBER P200. This is gonna be like $135. It has a full flat grind, wicked blade shape, polymer handle scales, but you can see here just a lot crazier kind of transitions, cut-ins. I love carrying this as a utility knife because it just slices like none other and really locks me into place. But it wouldn't be my first choice to take on a camping trip. If you want to go in the opposite direction where your belt knife is basically dedicated for woods working, something like the Joker Ember in a Scandi grind would be an excellent choice. Sandvik 14C28N, great full rounded handle, lots of different handle options to choose from. Gives us a lot of the same things and checks a lot of the same boxes, usually between like 100 and 130. Good leather sheath, fire steel options, things like that. Where the B40 stands out for me is it's kind of that crossover tool. I feel comfortable doing it, using it in a lot of utility, but also in a lot of woods working, and that's where this particular design, and going back to the blade shape and grind, really accentuate multiple capabilities. Now to the final thing, and number 5 on our list that you need to consider before you choose your next belt knife, and it's the thing that so many knife companies kind of screw up on. They're getting better, and I'll be honest with you, on this Lionsteel B40, it's a mixed bag, and I'm talking about the sheath. This is where your knife lives more than any other place. Depending on how you like to carry yours, you might want to consider one that has a lot of lashing options. You know, you like having it on your shoulder strap when you hike in a vertical, and then putting it on your belt when you reach your location. Maybe you like in waistband, out of waistband, whatever. So that's something that you definitely need to consider. Now, I'm discovering as I just carry fixed blades a lot more as just like EDC around my home, working, doing different stuff, testing out gear, I actually have gravitated a little bit more to leather like this. This is an Italian-made leather sheath here, beautifully done. It is not going to be ambidextrous, so if you're a lefty, that's something to consider. You'd have to cross-draw this thing, but it has excellent stitching all the way around. No drainage hole, so that's a little odd to me, and it does kind of have this taco kind of opening here. Now, when it goes into place, just in a standard format, it kind of seats, but sadly, the tension, it's not great. When it's on your belt, it'll seat fine and it's not gonna go anywhere even when you sit down, even lay down. But there have been 1 or 2 times where I've had it upside down and with a little jerk, it just falls out. If it's riding in a pack, I really have to think about it, kind of put it in a pocket where it's gonna be standing straight up. So it's not the end of the world, but just a little bit better tension, a little tighter, maybe a little rivet right here would have been enough tension to make it a little bit more secure. Now, sibling, the B41 does have a different design sheath with a button snap that goes around the guard and looks to be a little bit more secure. But I do like how slim this is, and it kind of disappears when I'm carrying it on my body, regardless if it's around camp or around the home. So those are the 5 things to consider before you choose your next belt knife. I do appreciate you guys hanging with me today. I hope it's been fun and entertaining, giving you guys the info and data that you need to make a wise choice when it's time to pull the trigger on a belt knife. And when it comes to this B40, leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Now, having seen it used, how do you consider it, and how does it stack up to other designs maybe that you have been considering or own? For me personally, I hadn't pulled the trigger for a while on it just because it seems kind of bland at first glance. But after getting it, using it, has really won me over as this crossover capable tool that is very reliable, and I've truly fallen in love with it as a great option for that belt knife carry. So that, guys, that's me, that's my mileage. Thanks for hanging with me. Check out the other video popping up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.